I hate to say it, but RSG really disappointed the Chinese region. In these 4 days of Group Yellow, they had absolutely no clue of what they were doing. And among all the teams PEL has ever sent in PMGCs, they were honestly the worst performing team, at least for me. Yes, they've been playing in a completely different version of this game with completely different mechanics throughout the year, so it was difficult to adapt to the global lobby so quick. I agree with it. But this isn't an excuse enough for all those rookie mistakes which they did throughout their matches. So yes, it was difficult, and RSG had a really tough time facing this challenge. Honestly, by looking at their performance in PEL LCQ, which happened a few weeks ago, we all had high hopes from this team. But sadly, they disappointed us. Many of the PEL fans are disheartened, frustrated by looking at their performance, and I understand them. RSG showed high potential before this GC, but at the end, they were literally free kills for all the teams. So what's the main reason for such a poor performance? Well, it's obviously the intensity of the end circles. They just couldn't adapt to facing this many teams in the end circles, because if you have noticed, RSG's positionings in most of the matches made them really vulnerable to third parties. And that's the reason actually I wrote a community post before the first day of Group Yellow that RSG isn't gonna make it to the survival stages. Because Chinese teams are used to play split, take as much space as possible in the end circles. Now that's a lot more easier in PEL because the number of teams in the end circles is way less compared to the global lobby. And if you want to play split in global lobbies, then you have to take fights. You have to go for third parties and clear out teams first. And that's where RSG's players kind of lacked in. Their gunfights were also not impressive at all. They took a lot of casualties during fights, and this is because of this drastic change they had to implement in their game style. So let's take a look at this play by RSG. Now RSG knows that Twisted Minds have their eyes on them since the TM players have been taking shots. Now there's one remaining player of Zeus and RSG wants to clear him out. Now watch. Now, I just don't have any idea why RSG players tried to cross without smoking their path. Twisted Minds had clear vision on them while crossing, and they easily took down a player of RSG. But if we go back a little, we can see that RSG lighting actually smoked the path. But here comes the lack of communication. Before the smoke could even form up, all of these players just rushed in. Now there can be two possibilities. The first is that RSG lighting didn't communicate this thing with his teammates. And the second was that they were so panicked that they just wanted to rush in and clear that Zeus player. Now that was an absolute rookie mistake, and we don't expect it from a top tier team like them. Another mistake which RSG did here, which I can understand that it was out of panic, and that's regarding these two players from Alpha 7. RSG, while taking this fight with Zeus, had no information about their surroundings. They were so into this fight that they didn't check their surroundings at all. And even if they noticed, they didn't communicate that thing among themselves, which resulted in these two knocks of RSG. I mean, it should have been an easy cleanup of that one remaining Zeus player if they would have communicated well. Now let me show you one more play by RSG. Look at this split. It was a brilliant split. They completely surrounded the two players of Team Spirit here. The other two players of Team Spirit are down at the barn house, and RSG has this information as well, that there are only two players near them. Now RSG Geese straight up messed this fight with Effect, and he gets taken down. But soon after that, Effect gets taken down by Koobs from Twisted Minds. Now Geese gives this information to Bay, so he pushes that one remaining player Matic from Team Spirit. Now RSGD has been focusing on Twisted Minds out here, but Bay asks for backup, so he shifts his focus to Matic. Now, I want you to check this area. There's no team out here as of now. Now as a top tier team, you should have this information.
Effect crawling back, the smokes are there, they are just folding back away. RSG can't put too much pressure out this way, they can't overexpose. Here comes the backup. Team Spirit are juggling the aggro here, and it's looking pretty good for them. But look at that flex out on the off angle. A rotate comes in from the side, the nade comes through, the flush, looking to try and put pressure.
Now look at T. Instead of taking that one last player from Team Spirit, God knows what he's been doing out there sitting in that room. Bay gave some damage to Matic, and Matic just had a tree as a cover. Now in this situation, RSG should have been aggressive. D should have pushed from the left because as you saw before, there were no teams out there towards the left. But instead they went extremely passive and the two players of Team Spirit holding the barn house arrived for backup and wiped RSG out. Now RSG D had the responsibility here to check out their surroundings and to check for any teams out here. Now I'm sure that he didn't have this information that there are no teams out there in this area. And that's the reason he went so passive. And as a result, RSG got entirely wiped out. Now by looking at these plays, we can simply conclude that playing compressed just didn't suit RSG at all, and it was panic and fear which affected their gameplay. They compromised a lot with their positionings, and it's because they didn't have the confidence to initiate fights and to fight for a better position in the circle. I feel that RSG should have played a lot more aggressive, which is their normal game style, which would have built confidence in them and the result would have been much better. Instead, they chose to play passive and they never got a chance to build up that confidence. Now Tianba and TJB has a lot of global experience, so these factors won't be a problem for them in this GC. But TT will face this challenge, and it depends on them how they take it. RSG failed miserably in this challenge. Now we'll have to see how TT is gonna face it. We all have high hopes from them, so it'll be interesting to see.